So when YouTube decided to send most of their employees home so they wouldn't get sick, and then in turn put our fate in the hands of their automated systems, this seemed to result in a lot of really weird and shady advertisements kind of slipping through the cracks in the past couple of months. Now, if you're like me and you're using an ad blocker, you're not seeing them on the main website. But if you're looking at this on the mobile app, then man, there was almost always some kind of a get-rich-quick scheme or just an outright scam popping up on the homepage. It seemed like a lot of these videos were trying to, prey on desperate people who really wanted to make some money in this difficult time. So these things were out here promoting fake survey websites. And they're trying to make them look as professional as possible. They have these overly energetic to the point of sounding robotic sounding voiceovers.
Hi everyone, I am William.
All these crazy offers that, they crossed the line from too good to be true to, come on, you think we're that stupid?
This task is asking us to download and install this app, then run it for 30 seconds to earn $40 to get completed.
And the comment sections are the best because you're not going to see anything but positive feedback from people who are clearly just bots. Now, if you look closely, you might see some actual human beings hiding among them. And they'll even go so far as to try and validate themselves by posting video testimonials from people who would make these short videos to put on social media with referral links. And these videos were from people who hadn't even cashed out from the platform yet. That's how you know these things are fake, because they haven't gotten their actual money yet. Now, I could go on and on about these kinds of videos, but I think plenty of other channels have done this already. And on top of that, that's not the point of this video. The point is that on the bright side, these ads did kind of inspire me to look into legitimate survey platforms. And like many other people, I could kind of use some extra money in my pocket right about now. So I did some research, and then next thing you know, I ended up diving headfirst into Survey Junkie. Setting up your account on Survey Junkie is quick and easy to do. It's pretty much the same as any other social media site that you've ever signed up for. You just use your email address, make a password, or you can sign up using Google or Facebook. Now, once your account is verified, what you'll do next is start filling out your profile information. Each profile contains little details about you, such as your jobs, your hobbies, what kind of food you like to eat, what games you like to play, things like that. And these details will affect the types of surveys that you'll get and how many points they're worth. The best part is you can always come back and edit them later on as things change. And on top of that, you get 10 points for every profile that you complete for the first time. I'm sure there's likely all kinds of other details and other factors that could affect what surveys you qualify for and how many of them you'll get. But I think the best advice that I could give when you get around to filling out the surveys is to just be honest. Just answer every question truthfully, like the survey suggests at the beginning. Worst case scenario, if you do get disqualified from a survey, 9 times out of 10, it happens within those first initial questions where they'll ask you about your age, the country and state where you live, your job, things like that. And these only take a few seconds to complete anyway, so if you end up not qualifying, then at least you still get a few points for a few seconds of effort. Now, from my experience, I rarely ever got disqualified when I was already halfway through a survey, or maybe towards the end of one, unless there was some kind of a glitch that just happened, or it decided that I really had nothing else to, I had no input on the subject of the survey. There's no point in going to all the effort to lie about certain details in order to qualify more often, because it might only make things a bit more difficult down the line if you're answering these questions inconsistently. On top of that, it seems like these third-party companies that provide the surveys, they keep a kind of a record of your account whenever you access them, and if they decide for any reason that something is amiss, you could be permanently banned from taking any more surveys from that company. And in my case, it can even happen when there hasn't been any misleading information given, which brings me to my next point. From what I've experienced so far, there are at least 4 companies that are either a little bit trigger happy with the ban hammer or just downright faulty. Sense, SSI, Ipsos Interactive, and Peanut Labs. These are basically the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, but for market research. I was being as consistently honest and truthful as I possibly could when providing information on their surveys, but within a few days of using them, suddenly I was permanently booted from accessing them one after another on the basis of my information somehow not lining up with their ID records and all kinds of nonsense like that. This caught me off guard, so I emailed the Survey Junkie customer support and I explained my situation to them. The response basically told me that they had no control over this and that it was at the discretion of those third-party companies to decide whether or not to ban someone. So I emailed the customer support for Scent and Peanut Labs too, and I told them the same thing that I told the Survey Junkie people. Hey, guess what? No response. On top of that, SSI and Ipsos don't even have a customer support email address that you can contact directly. If you want to get in touch with them, you have to settle for filling out some form with your email address attached to it and send it through their website and just pray that something happens. At the time of recording this commentary, it's been like well over a month since I sent those emails. That was like, what, the first week of May? We're already at the end of June at this point. No response. At least I could find some solace knowing that this wasn't some isolated incident. If you do a Google search for any of the names of those companies that I just mentioned, and you'll always find on the first page of results tons of things like Reddit posts, forum threads, and review sites just full of people trashing those companies for the same issues that I was having. On the bright side, I did find a sort of a workaround to get past this issue, and it was surprisingly easy. Just use the mobile app. That's it. I can't take surveys from these companies on the desktop client, but on the app, it works just fine. It works as if nothing ever happened. Even those faulty sample cube surveys that only show a blank page, those work on the app. Now keep in mind, this method isn't foolproof. Sometimes it just doesn't work quite as well, and I might still not qualify for individual surveys, like usual, but at least the platforms themselves still work. Shady market research company activity aside, I think there's only a few minor issues with Survey Junkie itself that I've encountered so far. On the mobile app, directly underneath your total points and available surveys, there's a list of locked high paying surveys that claim to only be accessible from the main website. These surveys do not exist on the desktop client. I assume there may be some kind of an error, at least that was, based on the feedback that I got from customer support when I emailed them about the issue. What I find odd about this is that it's even a feature in the first place. Why have a feature on a mobile app that tells me that I can't do something on said mobile app? It's not like the desktop client has a list of surveys that are exclusive to the mobile app, and as far as I can tell, there are none. So it just seems a bit redundant. Another thing is the lack of notifications. Apart from the occasional notice about special offers and ongoing events, there's pretty much nothing to tell you about incoming surveys. The only way I can consistently get notifications is through my email app. I use Yahoo, and even then, I don't get notified about every incoming survey, just one or two every now and then. I still have to manually check the app to see what's there. And one more minor issue that I have with this thing is the lack of a landscape view. I would imagine that if you're doing these surveys on a tablet, it would be much of an issue because the screen is either square or a bit more rectangular. But some of the surveys that I do take, and they do support mobile phones, they'll often tell you to turn your phone to, sideways to the landscape view so you can see better. Because sometimes some of the questions I'd have to scroll horizontally back and forth so I can see everything, but I can't pinch to zoom it in or out. And as far as I can tell, the app doesn't have a setting for landscape mode, because if I were to turn my phone, nothing happens. It's just still portrait view. I wish I had known about Survey Junkie years ago. Up until this point, I had occasionally heard about other survey platforms like Swagbucks and Inbox Dollars, but I never bothered to do any proper research or actually check them out. So the only ones that I've actually used in the past were Google Opinion Rewards and Surveys on the Go, both of which are just mobile apps. I've been using Google Opinion Rewards for about 5 years now, and the 218 surveys that I've taken have yielded a total of about $50. And by $50, I mean $50 in the form of Google Play credit, where I can only use it for apps, music, games, and other things on the Play Store. Now supposedly there is some kind of a way to transfer your credit to your PayPal account. I think it's based on whether you have your email address that's the same for your Google account and your PayPal account. But I honestly have no idea how to do that, and also I kind of don't care. Surveys on the Go, on the other hand, was a bit more generous to me in the 2 years that I spent using it. It lets you cash out your points to Amazon gift cards, your PayPal account, and all kinds of other stuff. I couldn't tell you how many surveys I took in total, but the 10 payouts I received over that time added up to about $147. So that's certainly a step up from what I was getting from Google. One downside to this app is that you have to reach a $10 minimum before you get cash out, and it often took me a while to hit that $10. The reason for this, and this also applies to Google Opinion Rewards, is that Surveys on the Go requires you to have your phone's location turned on in order to get more surveys. It seems like these apps were more suited to people who are a bit more outgoing, and they'll receive surveys while they're inside of a store, at work, or wherever else they go. And it'll ask them general questions about the store that you're currently in, or it'll ask you to take pictures or video of certain products, or you might get surveys after leaving a store, where it'll ask about, whether or not you bought something, take a picture of your receipt, and things like that. Unfortunately, this does little to nothing for someone like me who spends most of his time at home, especially right now with that. So I was surprised when I could even get one survey a month from either of these two apps around this time. Thankfully, with Survey Junkie, that's no longer an issue. There's always surveys available, dozens consistently showing up on a daily basis, both on the desktop client and the app. So whether I'm relaxing here at home, or if I'm out running some quick errands, there's always opportunities on the table. Which leads me to answering the question that I'm sure is on everyone's mind at this point. Well, Chaff, how much money did you make this month with Survey Junkie? Well, I'll tell you. Between May 3rd and the 31st, I made a total of $169.63. Yeah, I'd say that's pretty good for my first month. It's certainly a massive step up from the previous two apps that I was using, that's for sure. Now, to make things a little bit more interesting, here's a breakdown of all the points that I've made. Alright, so, get a load of this. I made myself a spreadsheet logging all of the points that I made throughout the entire month of May. Yeah, I put actual effort into this thing, people. I logged in every single point that I made when using Survey Junkie in May. On the website or the app, if you click on your lifetime points, it'll show your history that lists all of the points that you've earned throughout a certain time period, and you can punch in a certain date range, and it'll list all the surveys that you've done within that time frame. So every day, I would just go in and go through that history, and I would list all of the points that I made from my surveys. So here I got the day of the week, the specific day of the month, got all the point values here, scroll down, and got the number of surveys that I took that day, the percent qualified for that day, the total points, and the average points. The percent qualified is just meaning the ones that I managed to qualify for and work to completion, as opposed to getting disqualified and only getting 3 points. There it is. So yeah, take a good look at all of that. Some days I kind of went all out. Some days I kind of just didn't feel like doing a lot of them. Some days I was kind of busy with other things. It just depends. I think the most I took, it was this. So I took 123 surveys on the 20th, yeah. So we've got all of these extra things here, and really the most important thing I think is the percent qualified. Because if you look through all of these, just highlight it, you'll see that I don't even qualify for half. I've never even qualified for more than 40 something percent, 41.67%, but I only did 12 surveys that day. That's not a lot. Let's see what else we got. My lowest was 11.86. I didn't really qualify for a lot of these surveys, but that is to be expected because, in fact, if you look right here, there's the average. The average of all the percentages is 0.25, so that's 25%. And Survey Junkie says that you will pretty much only qualify for 1 out of 5 surveys, so that's 20%. And, for the most part, you got your 40%, 30 something, 20, 20, 20, 20, 20. You're not going to get a lot. But I think that depends on your profile, because I probably don't have a lot of things that make me more qualified to get more surveys, because I don't have a very high paying job, I don't travel a lot, I'm not married, I don't have kids, I don't own a lot of consoles, I don't, you know what I mean? I don't do a lot of things. I'm kind of a very basic human being, but I get what I can and I'm happy with it. So you see all these 3s and 2s, these are the ones that I was disqualified from. And then, these 35, 20, all the double digit ones are the ones that I completed. And you might think, well, wow, that's not good. You don't really qualify for a lot. Why even bother? But like I said at the beginning, I usually get kicked from a survey early on if I put in, my age, where I live, and if I don't qualify, then, you still get 3 points. And it's usually within the first few seconds of a survey, so you're not wasting a lot of time when you do this. So I just figured, you know what? If I'm going to get kicked, then I'll just get a lot of points from being kicked. So I just kept on going and kept on going. And that's okay. I'm okay with that. I'm sure a lot of other people might not like that idea, but hey, at least you're getting something from getting, something for your effort. I just thought that was kind of neat. And yeah, this was just a little short thing compiling all of the payouts that I did with surveys on the go. I would almost always cash out as soon as I got my $10 because that 10 was the minimum, and it took a long time to get to that 10, so I'm just like, oh, I don't want to keep on going, I'll just get it now. And I did. So that's why it's only this few payouts, and that's the total. Pretty good, but again, that was like over 2 years to get that much, so took a while. And this was only in 1 month, so ups and downs. Now, to get these kinds of results over the course of a single month, I was basically spending the vast majority of my days taking these surveys. If I wasn't eating, sleeping, cleaning up around the house, or doing some small errands, I would just go straight to YouTube, put on some music or a really good Vine Sauce playlist in the background on one tab, and then start taking surveys on another tab and just let the hours go by. Sure, this gets me the most amount of money, but it's not exactly the best way to spend a day, because there's plenty of other things that I could, should, and would rather be doing with my time. But I simply wanted to see just how much I could get if I just went all out for an entire month. In the months to come, I'm going to take things a little bit more casually. Ideally, I figure if I could make like between $3 and $5 per day, that would be fine. But I know that based on the kinds of surveys that I get and how often that I qualify for them, that might not always be the case, but I just know that I'm not gonna go crazy from here on out. I'm gonna just take it nice and slow. Maybe some days I might not take any surveys at all. And I think I'll likely do some kind of a follow-up video to this either at the end of this month or sometime in July. At the end of the day, what I make from doing surveys here wouldn't even remotely be able to replace the income that I could make from a regular job. It's more supplementary than anything else, like disposable income. There's even a statement in the FAQ section that straight up says you won't get rich this way. This is the kind of money that I would use to treat myself without dipping into my primary income, like if I wanted to order pizza or see a movie in theaters every now and then. I could use it to pay for something small like a monthly Netflix subscription, or supporting a content creator on Patreon, or possibly save up for something bigger down the line. It's possible. If I had known about Survey Junkie in the past, I would have already bought that Artorias statue by now. Among other things.